Good morning. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the treasurer. I'm going to talk a little bit about money, but hopefully it won't be too boring. I'm going to try to make it not boring. Okay, so we're going to talk about pledging, but we're going to talk about how we use the funds that come into this church to actually care for us, right? So current pledge facts, as close as we could get. Last year we had 31 pledging households. So I had pledging units, but that sounded kind of boring. So if you think about, Gilles and I pledged together, right, as a household. We currently have about 45 households that would be considered members. So we do have a little bit of a gap there. A lot of that is because we've had a lot of new households join us this year. Also, every year there's usually a couple that either just don't return a pledge, or sometimes we have members that we haven't seen in a while because they have other things going on in their lives and they're not here with us present a lot, so they might not have turned in a pledge. But we do like to receive a pledge from members. So the monthly pledge range last year was from $10 a month to $1,000 a month. So we have a very wide range of pledges. It's not so much about the amount, it's more about the commitment. And everybody gives what they can, and people who are lucky enough or fortunate enough to be able to donate more do. And like I said, it's really not about the amount. We have a huge range of pledges. The median pledge is $125 a month. So that's just kind of the middle of the pack, just to kind of give you some numbers to orient around. And pledges actually make up 2/3 of our overall income for the church for the year. So I have a nice little pie chart because this is what I do for my day job. You guys, I make charts and I make graphs and stuff. So yeah, you can see that really big pie piece, right? Those are the pledged contributions for the budget. And then you can see kind of the other major sections of where our income comes from. We get the money in the weekly plate. We do get non-pledged contributions. The auction is a big piece. And then we also have the endowment, and then we have the trust payments. So, okay, where the money goes. This slide is for Debbie, because she asked me to do this. We sliced up a dollar bill. Don't tell anybody. I didn't slice up a dollar bill for real. So this is really where, if we just think about it as spending money, I mean, you can think of it that way, but really it's how are we spending this money to care for this congregation, right? So a big portion of that is going to go towards staff, right? So we do pay for our minister. Luckily, we found a minister, so we have a minister on staff now this year, which is very exciting. And then the support staff, right? So if you think about, we get our music contribution every week, and some weeks, I got tears from the music, that there's a big piece of that cares for us. Having Aaron run our AV tech so that we can reach everybody out who might not be here, right, and they can attend with us. All the support staff, plus having the minister, is really a big portion of what we're using those funds for. Also the building, right? This dollar piece was probably bigger, but is now smaller thanks to Mike Revis and his wonderful matching donation. We were able to pay off the mortgage this year. So that being said, we do still have a lot of expenses that go along with the building, right? We have to care for it. We have to pay for utilities, all that good stuff. And then we use the building not just on Sunday mornings, but we've got groups that use the building throughout the week, right, throughout the month. A lot of you run different groups where we get to use this space for different things. Taxes and insurance, that's the boring one. I know you don't get to really see that directly, but we do have to pay for taxes and insurance. The UUA dues, right? So we pay dues to the UUA because we are a member church of theirs. So that's a portion of how we use our money back to the UUA, because then they support us. The UUA actually has staff that helps us out a lot at times. I don't know if you guys all knew that, but when we were doing the minister search, they had somebody from the UUA who was working with us hand in hand the whole time. They support the jobs board where you can post all of your jobs and people can find it. They provide a lot of support for us when we need it. So the guest speakers, it's a little tiny slice, but whenever we don't have the minister and we pay for guest speakers to come in, we've had some amazing ones come in lately, right? Having people come in from different organizations and kind of talk to us about different things. I find that really valuable too. And then the other bucket is just everything else. All those other things that we pay for on a weekly or monthly basis just to kind of keep everything up and running. But our goal is really just to use every bit of that dollar as much as we can to really support what we're doing here and support and take care of you guys and like anybody else who comes in the door. Other would also include like marketing, right? We go out to the farmers market. The most fun I ever had at the farmers market was when I was there representing us in June. It was Pride Month, and we had the rainbow flags, and we were just handing them out for free, and everybody came in, and they were like, "Are these free? Can I take one?" I was like, "Yeah." So by the time I left, they were like, everyone I saw had one, and they were scattered around. It was so cool. So that did cost us a little bit of money, but I thought it was great. Okay, and then I just want to talk a little bit about, like, I didn't want to overlook some of the things we've actually accomplished this year. We did hire Reverend Jim as our new minister, so we do have a half-time minister. Hooray. I mean, we did hold together really well that year that we didn't have a minister, but you guys really told us our number one goal was to get a minister back in. So we did accomplish that. We restarted our religious exploration classes to better serve our families with young children. Me, thank you. I am personally very grateful for this one, and we did have some people step up to really support this, and it's making a difference. I mean, if you've noticed, we've got more families coming in. They're bringing their kids with them because we have a program for them. So I personally am very grateful for this one. And we had listed that as our number 2 goal last year. So I already mentioned paying off the mortgage, thanks to Mike Revis, and to all of you who really stepped up. When he proposed this, I was like, there's no way we're going to come up with this much money, but we did, and you guys are amazing. So paying off the mortgage was a huge accomplishment. And then I just wanted to throw this up here because sometimes we forget. We do a share the plate once a month. I'm usually sending out checks between $150 to $200 those months as the share the plate. That's the half that they get. You guys always donate extra on the Share the Plate Sundays, and I can see it in the numbers. So, like, thank you. That's awesome. And we get to send that out to different organizations every month. So I listed them all there. I'm not going to, like, read them all, but that's amazing, too. So thank you guys for that. Okay. I think that's it. Debbie's going to come up. No, you don't have to clap. All right, and Debbie's going to come up to share a little bit of her story. Here's the clicker. You're welcome.
Let's see if I can do this. Hello, thank you for coming, and I am nervous. Funny, teaching for 34 years in front of 30 kids every hour. It was easy. This is like, these are the people I really love. So if you don't know, I'm Debbie Brownlow, and I am on the board. I am the secretary most of the time. Jim and I are the oldest members of this church. This is going to be sort of a testimonial and a little bit of history and why the church is important to me. So kind of my testimonial. We're the oldest members of this church. We signed the book at the UU Church in McGuanago in 1989. So it's been a while that we have been part of this group of wonderful people. My journey to become a Unitarian Universalist started in the fall of '86, 40 years ago. We drove by the McGuanago Church every day on the way to work. And one day we were driving, and Jim really noticed what was being preached, and he wanted to go. It was called, the minister, Max Patrick, a UWM professor, was going to be, his sermon was going to be on Paradise Lost, a poem by John Milton, and Jim was intrigued. I, of course, was reluctant to go. I'm always the reluctant one of the two. I was worried, what kind of church, strange place would this be? I was a Catholic, and all the guilt and worry about my soul was still with me. I no longer believed much of what the church expected me to believe or support, but it was the only religion I knew. And I decided at the start to attend both churches on Sunday mornings. I would go to the early service at the Catholic Church and then the regular service at the Unitarian Church. What a contrast. A typical Catholic church follows ritual, if any of you are Catholic, required belief, 100 people, that's the norm. The UUC we were attending in McGuanago was allowing me to believe what was important to me, different topics, different things explored, and the focus was on all of us as individuals in this caring community. When we first started, they had just started the church up again, and there were under 20 members, most of whom were as old as our parents. I still remember many of the names of the people who greeted us so warmly and were happy to see us. Funny that I can remember their names and faces, and I have trouble with many new names and faces in this church today. But I would like to honor their names because they gave me so much, and to me and the UUC. And so I'm just going to read their names quickly. Ave and Lorraine Ferris, Lois and Wilford Bissett, Charlotte Simpson, Fern Strickler and her daughter, Charlotte Keffler, Nisley and Ivan Casti, Helen Johnson, Jean and Mike Malliron. Of course, others joined shortly after we did, and some of you are sitting right here today. I was pregnant with our first son, Bill, when we started attending, and that spring of 1987, the women of the congregation gave me a shower. I had never felt so warmed. I had colleagues that were very warm and loving, but these were people who hardly knew us and went out of their way to fill our home with things that our new son would enjoy. We decided not to baptize Bill, which was a very challenging decision for me because I was still worried about God and hell and purgatory, all of that. But we called the priest who married us, Father Charlie, and he came to dinner, and we talked about it. And he gave me some excellent advice. He said, you baptize children into the community you want to help support them. Those words were very important to me, and he gave me other good advice, too. We signed the membership book, as I had said earlier, in 1989. Our son, Tom, was born. That was the spring. So we had been members going regularly for over almost 2 years. Our son Tom was born in July, and we had both boys dedicated by the Reverend Marion Hackton Cotter in mid-August. So right away, he was just a little baby. I didn't need any more time to know that this was the community we wanted to raise our sons in, and that this denomination and this congregation would support us and them. In 1991 and 95, I took 2 classes that were offered at the church. One was called Build Your Own Theology, and the other one was Developing Your Credo. And both of those really helped me investigate what was important to me. Those classes helped me realize that I can change how I see the world and what I believe in, something I still treasure today. And we, of course, here offer some courses like that, or different ways to explore what's important to you. Dances of Universal Peace, the Journey Group, the Agnostic Study Group, Soul Matters, the Buddhist group, and I apologize to any other group I might be omitting. Jim was on the board at the UUC McGuanago as a president and treasurer. I helped on the search committee and a ministerial committee. When our sons were in middle school, we decided to start going to the First Church, Unitarian Church in Milwaukee, downtown. We felt especially I felt the religious program would be a better fit for the boys and our family. It was such a difficult decision to make. I remember crying about it when I discussed it with Reverend Doug Watkins because I loved the McGuanago Church. We went there for about 3 years as a family. Then Jim and Bill decided to study at home, and Tom, our younger son, continued with me for another year or so. but we eventually faded away from there. A couple of years later, Jim started attending the UUC again during its location transitions as it was at different places while it was trying to decide what to do with the old building in McGuanago. And I joined him a few years later. I was not attending when this building was purchased, and it was a grand decision. Thank you to all of you who moved us forward. Oh, how I felt welcome returning. Familiar faces, new faces, and the comfort of this community who had always accepted me. The same feelings of all those years ago. No judgment, no requirement, just welcome. You belong. In spring of 1924, Rick, who was our president at the time, asked if I would be willing to be on the board. Well, that was quite an honor, shock, a responsibility. Leadership roles are something I usually avoid. They require commitment, time, and responsibility. I tend to see myself as a member rather than a leader. I can be a hard worker if I choose, but leadership for this wonderful place would require more for me, and it seemed scary. I asked if I could think about it, and then a moment later I said yes. I remember thinking, this congregation had given me so much since my first day in the fall of 1986, and continues to give to me every time I am here. Every time I think of what I believe in and my place in this world, I know this congregation supports me, cares for me, nourishes me. How can I not give back? Oh, did somebody pop that up? I didn't know. So this is us on dedication day. Look how handsome Jim is. Can you see why I married him? And I'm sure you can see how young Tom is. I think he was 3 to 4 weeks old when we made that decision. I look at this every day. We have a refrigerator that one side is exposed and the other is the front. And this is a picture on there. So I see this every day and I think of that time. The other, oops, wrong way. No, wrong way. There. This is the other thing I have on my refrigerator, and I wanted to share with you. So up here is on the top is a Maya Angelou, but the rest of it is all things that I have from the Unitarian Church or from the publication. Different things, values, what are those called? Like mantras you say, may I be free from danger, may you be free from danger, those kind. And it's on the front of my refrigerator. So these are two things that are a part of my every single day life, often many times a day, because I do like to go to the refrigerator. Just being in this place together is a gift that we give to each other. And this helps remind me. You have all cared for me and each other. I am trying to care for you and this congregation by showing up, getting to know you, being on the board, and making a yearly pledge so we all may have this place to gather. With love and gratitude, thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Aaron Loy. I'm also one of the board members. I help lead worship on Sundays and marketing as well. But good morning. Thanks for being here. As you heard from Debbie, we all have a story here at United and how this congregation has cared for us during our time here. That's the continual story I've heard since being here for almost a year now as I talk to each and every one of you. And everyone has a completely different story, but yet they all converge the same way, and that's here at United. In a couple of weeks, we're going to also hear from Dennis Froh, who's going to share his story, his relationship with United. And then looking a little more forward in April, we're going to engage the month's theme of embracing possibility. So you have that to look forward to. And to continue the discussion we're having today of what it means to care for what cares for us, we're going to have two messages in April about embracing United. Today we're discussing one way. It's very obvious, right? One way we can care for and embrace United, and that's through our finances. That first message we're going to hear, though, in April, that's going to discuss another way of embracing United, and that's through serving in various capacities in the church. So this is just cut straight from the website. Some of the teams, ministries, groups that we have, they're going to be speaking on that morning. A spokesperson from each service-oriented team is going to share what they do and give you the opportunity to request more information about any team that may interest you. And then a couple weeks later, we're going to hear from the many fellowship-oriented teams as another way that we can embrace United in fellowship ways. Each group leader, again, is going to speak, and you will also have an opportunity to request any more information about a team that may interest you as well. For some financial considerations for you guys, today we are discussing finances, and I want to speak to the many different types of people that are here this morning and the various ways that you can support us financially. First and foremost, if you're brand new, just know that you obviously always have the option to donate and give as you are led using the donation plate each Sunday morning through the QR code online as well. Second, if you're someone that's been coming a while and you're not a member, that's another thing to consider. Maybe I want to become a member. What would that look like? You can let Jennifer, myself, Reverend Jim, or any board member know that you just want to hear more information about what it means to be a member, what that includes, etc., and we will contact you about that. If you are a new member, which I know we have many, or you're a member who isn't currently pledging, here are the very specific next steps to take. First is to look at your finances, if that isn't already obvious, and reflect on what number feels right to you. That's what it's about first and foremost. If you would like a suggested amount, this isn't something that we do as a congregation, but this is something that the UUA, the United Unitarian Association, puts out, and you can access this online on our website. And you don't have to worry about kind of all the verbal diarrhea, so to speak, of all the information on there. All it really means is we have different incomes coming in, and we also have different investments in this community, in this congregation. And all these charts are basically saying, hey, what do you make? How invested are you in this community? It's not a guilt trip. That's just an internal thing to reflect on and say, how much of a part of my life is United? So if you're the type of person that wants a little bit of hand-holding or maybe a suggestion, because again, this is maybe brand new to you, that's something you can check out. If you are already a pledging member, I have something for you to consider. Something we all love is inflation. Pause for laughter. It's a real thing. I shouldn't have to say it, but inflation affects us as a congregation. And we obviously also have rising costs every year for the many ministries, ideas that we're doing moving forward. So I have a proposition that you may consider. Maybe consider, if you're already, again, a pledging member, increasing your pledge by 5%. And that's a really easy thing to do, I think, if you do some simple math. Let's say you donate currently $100 a month. That's how much more a month, our math people? $5, right? If you're here's a harder one. If you pledge $50 a month, what is 5% of that? $2.50, right? So I know I'm guilty of this. If I'm involved with something financially, I think, I got to jump up $25.50 because I really care. It all adds up. It's kind of addition versus multiplication, right? If each person in our congregation gave 5% more as a current pledging member, that's just a suggestion to consider for yourself. Moving forward. If you don't know the pledging process, I want to be very specific, or maybe you're like me and you easily forget things. I want to give us a reminder. Our calendar year is between July and June, and in case you're confused as to why that is, I can't give you a very specific answer other than that is how they do it. So that's why you're hearing about it now. That's why we're talking about pledging now. And what that means for us is that pledges are needed by the end of April. End of April, end of April, end of April. End of April, end of April, end of April. You're going to hear this a lot moving forward. I do want to be very honest, though. Anyone can give and pledge. You don't have to be a member to do that, obviously. Or maybe that goes without saying. But it is a requirement for membership. I do want to be very clear about that. Your pledging options are the digital pledge form that Sarah's put together online. This is going to be linked in the upcoming newsletter, so you have it there. I linked it online on the website as well, so you have it there. So just know that's an easy option for you if you'd like to do that. Next is you can email Sarah. That's an easy option if you want to let her know. And then the old-fashioned way, submit the hard copy, which if you don't already have one, you can get from Sarah, but that's another way of doing it as well. Moving forward as a congregation, we on the board are really excited about the momentum. I think it's pretty palpable in the air that we do have momentum as a congregation. That really excites me, and we're really looking forward to the future of United. And I want to let you know some kind of goals and emphases as a board, as a congregation moving forward in this calendar year. But again, just know that this is alongside the normal many amazing things we do here at United. First is investing in and growing our RE program, our nursery, which I don't know if you know, we have a nursery room. It just doesn't really get used. That's something we want to focus on. Another is reimagining our new member program. What does it look like to be a member? Different ideas for that. Next is new building signage, which you will hear about in the near future because I don't know about you, but it's really easy to not know that we're here if you don't drive down this street. And even if you do drive down this street, it kind of just looks like a building, if we're really honest. We have kind of minimal signage. So that's something we're looking at. And then various marketing endeavors. We started up marketing this past year. We've got a great team of the three of us, lots of ideas. There's some things we're doing, but things we want to do more in the future because I know Sue Christensen said this. Also, I felt this way when we came as a family is I walked in, I saw how amazing we were, and I thought to myself, how do more people not know that we exist? Because the idea ultimately at the end of the day is we want other people to experience the amazing things that United has given us. Brings full circle, right? So, as you look over your finances over the next few weeks, next couple months, and reflect on your relationship with United, we invite you to ask this simple question or kind of two-part question. What are the ways that United has cared for me? Reflect on that honestly, introspectively, because I think there's many of them. And in turn, how can I care for United? That's the question I would leave with you. So thank you to all of you who faithfully give to our congregation. You are the reason that we exist. And you're the reason that we can move beyond simply surviving to really thriving. Thank you.